Hi, I'm Shay McNeil, and today I will talk to you about Cotter's 8-step change model and how it works in school systems. Cotter's 8-step model has been a widely adopted educational leadership structure where a lot of people have seen organizational change. And a lot of times where in education efforts kind of fail due to resistance or burnout, it is a crucial management model that needs to be reflected with all the steps in mind. The urgency and the guiding coalitions at the start are very important to help create the vision and then communicate that buy-in so that they can have, you know, big action-based plans to go to the next level, and then short-term wins and not giving up about those things so that they can be later incorporated into the culture. The first step in the process is to create urgency, where teachers and leaders need to see why it is important. In the marketing world, I experienced this a lot with marketing and business. That was my first degree, and it became a place where you have to say now. Like, when do we need it? Yesterday. So you have to create and evoke that urgency in regards to things, whether it's data groups and different gaps that teachers are seeing, but just being transparent with teachers. A lot of times I feel like educators or leaders, admin kind of know what's going on, but they reveal only so much and then they tell us what we need to do. Well, showing us with displays and even important information of urgency and numbers to help the whole group understand why it's vital is necessary during this first stage of the process and cannot be overlooked. A big important aspect of this is to create a guiding team and coalition of teachers, admin, specialists, and leaders who are credible. One thing I know for sure is that teachers trust teachers. And so when you build a coalition of representatives that are able to bring that word of mouth to the program or initiative, it kind of helps build it along. And so creating that diverse mixed group of guiding members that can help with the progress of this goal is also vital to establish the vision. This step is equally important as we want to discuss and figure out within the school what will be different when the change actually occurs. And since schools are very human in regards to their systems and how they're going to change, a lot of times you have to be very clear and plain and very simple and focused on what it will benefit for the kids, if this will work, and if the vision can actually be seen for the people that are buying in, because if they can't see it, there'll be resistance to change. And if they can see it, then the resistance will go down and the motivation will increase. Another step is to communicate for the buy-in. A lot of the vision needs to be communicated with different formats, whether it's email, talks and speech and faculty meetings, parent communication, phone calls, even just little ways of communication is gonna not be tabled. If it's mostly talked about, and teachers trust other teachers, as I mentioned before, and so the teacher voice is vital for the buy-in as well. So just collectively talking and reinforcing those type of things through leadership, as well as having the teachers, teacher leaders go through and communicate the buy-in is necessary also. The fifth step is to remove any barriers with regards to things that will disempower teachers toward action. Time, resources, type of funding, or any type of teacher training that will hinder the progress of the teachers would be necessary to remove. One connection that I made with this was past goal theory from House, regarding taking the initiative to locate and find barriers that are in the way and then removing those barriers to clear the path to continue towards the goal. Generating short-term wins is necessary as well. I've often seen in school improvement plans or things and initiatives where wins were celebrated a little too early and prematurely stopped the whole program. Sometimes the wins that need to be celebrated are to keep people motivated, and then they see the celebration and the resistance goes down and the motivation goes up. So it kind of encourages good behavior along the way to keep going, but you can't stop at this step. This is not the final step. So the step 6 does not stop the effort here. More important now is to never let up. The change has to be continuous, and then communicating those create lasting impacts. The win in step 6 did not end the effort. And a lot of times people have the win and they're thinking everything's done. But in actuality, there is more work to keep the lasting impact helpful throughout the process. And so making that big change for the culture, which is going to be the next step, is going to be motivated by never letting up at this step. Again, from step 6, you can't quit after step 6 is what I got out of this one. But you want to incorporate changes into the culture, and effectively communicating that initiative throughout helps this stuff become routine over time. And so the practices now become embedded in the school culture, where school improvement and school reform can sometimes take place, because in this case now you have more steps that you wanted to progress through. And so this is now the new normal, and it becomes the new thing that is embedded within the culture of the school. And this is where you want things to stick. So the final and last step is that it has become a cultural and school change overall. And just to quickly mention the brief takeaways, school reform and business management connections look alike in a lot of ways. And we often have to remember that, Cotter's plan is a technical system where school systems are human systems. So empathy and a lot of building relationships really helps in this space. A real life application I remember in school reform was a draw initiative we had at my old school. It stood for discussion, reading, analyze, and writing within all domains like curriculum, and it helped us throughout. And we saw an increase in scores, but it was a weekly thing. It was, constantly saying that. The connection also was theoretical in that path goal leadership. We were removing those obstacles was embedded within this framework of Cotter's plan. And then I just question, like, if the steps are there, do we have the wherewithal to go back and step into another path or another step when things just didn't quite work out? So a lot of times without teacher voice or teacher impact or teacher buy-in, that really doesn't help, and it gives low impact. So collaboration and communication is always key when it comes to big initiatives.